So hello there everyone, and welcome to this special edition of the Ascension Spiral Training Work, in which we will be talking about the extended and also advanced Ascension Shielding and Frequency works. This work is a continuation of the spiral work. So actually what's required here is the understanding and mastery of the first three, or the main three spiral meditation practices, which of course, as we've talked about, are representative of three main protocols of actually building the configuration of illumined light within our bodies. So we won't go through the main operatives that are part of this configuration system, but as you know, these are advanced illumined teachings for physical body restoration, regeneration, life force infusion, cultivation and mastery, complete sovereignty of working within illumined light and Christ field, and principles of Holy Trinity or organic life that are sovereign principles of the essence of life that is Holy Spirit, that comes directly of the heart and mind of God as complete, immaculate, illumined light intelligence, from which all illumined life originates from and is being created of as a result of love. So this ascension shielding work, I've made notes because it's quite an advanced technique. It's actually very simple when you work around it, but you have to know the basic terms or terminologies or configurations, because you're building it's like building an infrastructure within our light field. And so we need to know, as I've explained before, the basic terminology of what these things are, right? The ascension pillar of light, the Merkaba, right? And the vehicle for light, body, consciousness, intelligence. Things like toroid, golden spiral of light. So these are all main principles, and we're going to move through them today. I actually was sitting in meditation just before. I actually wrote it all down. I actually did this work before, but today I received a more advanced and synthesized, very practical practice that we can make around this shielding and frequency work that's an important part of ascension and its acceleration process. So this work is not just for our own physical ascension, as if we're individually existing and there's nothing else, but this work also directly relates to, as you know, the configuration of synthetic life that we know as the dome frequency and the net, or the false grid, which is the instructed, controlled, and artificially maintained and regulated grid that composes of a specific frequency that we need to understand is not prone to promoting the proliferation of organic light and life, intelligence. So we're going to go through the stages of this practice. I made a drawing just like always on my mini vision board, which is just a piece of paper, as you know. That's all I have. I had a vision board before we were moving, and then I no longer have it. I only have markers remaining, so my board is no longer with me because we were moving around, as you know, 7 times. So I've lost quite a few things that I had before. I only took the necessary things. I want to take you through the introduction. So this work is first, right, intended to move to the advanced level of first understanding all the 3 levels of the spiral, right? We've talked about the Father, Mother, and the illumined child Christ principle as illumined light, illumined life. Basically, illumined light moving into illumined life, right, through the womb of the mother's heart and her intelligence. So the preliminary work here is, as I've said, mastering all the 3 main spiral configurations, as they're all included in this embodiment work we're going to be talking about here. This is an ongoing continuation work that it's not like, okay, you complete a stage and then it's over. This work is for constant self regulation and maintenance, because until we're embodied here on this planet, until we exist within this, what we call the bubble or the sheath of synthetic life or artificial intelligence, this is basically the work we are to do if we desire to advance in our understanding of ourselves as not just physical beings, but illumined beings and intelligences of life force, which is basically the comprehensive and all extensive way of viewing life as always, giving life to more life. That's how basically the principle of God operates and functions. So the way to use this intelligence and this meditation and activation practice work in all of your devotion in your sacred space is especially intended for us to first, like I said, master the spiral work, master the Merkaba work, but also then move into the more advanced sphere of creating fields or generating fields of energy and working with propulsion of light intelligence, which is called the pulsar. I've talked about the pulsar a while ago, probably around the time when I experienced this transgression. It was the time that I also was introduced and initiated through my family of light into the pulsar or galactic pulsar of light illumined organic intelligence, which is all about the particle discharge, dispensation, and acceleration. So there's a whole name I channeled back then. This is not important right now, but you will see when we do this work today, it will be consisting of 3 main phases or stages of this advanced work, and the last extra stage, which is about the illumination process. So I want to start by actually telling you a few things here that are the main statements of the divine life intelligence. Okay, we're going to read through these basic sentences that we also applied in all of our meditations when we were doing them in the spiral work. So the first sentence or intention is, I am that I am. Beloved God, I am. I am love, wisdom, and power. That's the first Trinity principle of God, right? God, and then God becoming all intelligent life as love, wisdom, and power. The second intention or statement is, I am the golden spiral of cosmic Christ. And golden spiral has the intention of moving the energy through cultivating and activating the currents of life force directly from God, and knowing how to, of course, generate them from within our own body field as well, which is what we were learning in the spiral work anyway. But also it has the ability to create fields, which is what we're going to learn here today in this practice. Third intention and statement is, I am life eternal and everlasting, which means that life is ongoing, and when life is luminous, it continues. It doesn't just die off. Life is an ever-expanding luminosity of life, ever evolving, ever pulsating, ever reverberating and emanating out the essence of life that is God. Fourth sentence or intention is, I am the embodiment of lumen life. So this means you yourself become prone to understanding you're not just an observer of life, right? You're this conscious participant of life, but you're also a conscious creator. And what we're creating here in our organic ascension principle is we're creating a lumen life within our own embodiment. Fifth sentence or intention is, I am the giver of life, which means when you master the cultivation of the internal dynamics of what life is as complete life force of source, you also know how to give life, which means you create more life. You can generate more life because you become a fully sovereign, God operating conscious being. Sixth sentence or intention is, I am the source of life and illumined intelligence. So you're not just an embodiment. Now you can become a conscious conduit, a vehicle, a vessel of channeling this source of life and giving illumined intelligence, like emanating it outwards into everywhere where you are, permeating the essence of creation wherever you're currently residing with your own luminous intelligence, and generating fields and fields of what we talked about as plasmic or photonic light. And seventh is, I am the essence of life that is Holy Spirit. So here you guys basically move into the primordial essence of life. And beyond everything we are, we can reach and tap into this primary essence of life directive. One other thing I wish to talk about here before we begin with the practice is something about the shielding work. I advise you to take a look into this month's spirit channel drawing, right, which represents this dome frequency, and then us creating the acceleration of this inner illumination of our inner particles work that starts to beam through this inorganic synthetic prison of life. And basically what is important here, this work is going to not just protect us and not just shield us, but this shield is an organic version of what we truly mean as the ascended version of the shielding work, because a lot of the shielding work that is not based on the principles of ascending life, that is the spiral of life, is meant to also prohibit the incoming energy or currents of energy, and we're not meant to shield like inorganically, like create a barrier. That's what non-illumined versions of shielding are like. This is an all-existing inner or inherent principle of life that is the ascending life that basically makes you operate this way. You become this luminous intelligence, and this way of shielding is your natural frequency elevates, and it basically propels you to a level of embodiment and to a degree where you're just naturally emanating this, but you're not actually blocking something from coming in. That's the ascended shielding work. It's not the same as any regular shielding practices or work that most people, receive through teachings that are not illumined. So the essence of this work, if you will also see the spirit channel drawing, is that our own work of that conscious field that we create, that emanation of particles moving through the Christ field, begins to create an acceleration of the inner frequency, which means within and around our physical body, that now, in order for us to permeate through or penetrate through that which is something that encapsulates us inorganically, means that our inner frequency, right, has to surpass and also surplus the surrounding or enforced, which is basically electrically sustained and synthetically designed or created grid or dome frequency, which I've talked about this month extensively on YouTube and the channel drawing and all other materials, which you can check out anyway in case you haven't yet. This is the primary before doing this extensive advanced work. So naturally, right, you have to understand that what you're exuding has to have a natural affinity of God to naturally move through. You're not working around it. You're just like beaming with the intelligence of God, and that's naturally surpassing and surplusing that which is trying to contain you within what we would say an enclosed format, without evolving further into your naturally God chosen powers. So this frequency of the synthetically contained and designed grid or dome is very low, it's distorted, and it's artificially intelligently controlled, as you know. So therefore, our own frequency has to be very high, aligned, which means purified through the seals and the principles of life, which are ascension principles, and maintained inwardly, which means consistently through our inner source of Godhood or God intelligence, which is, of course, illumined light, creating illumined life. So these are the first few primaries. Go through the main statements again. You might wish to, before you move into the work, give these intentions or sentences. You can also work, as you know, with your own creation name. In my case, before entering this practice, I would just affirm a few times, beloved God I am, beloved God I am, beloved God I am, and then my own name, right? My spirit essence core creation name, which is I am Aurea, I am Aurea, I am Aurea. That's just in my example. But before we begin this work, I actually want to read you a prayer that I channeled, very simple prayer for the transfiguration work, the work I've been doing with my team through the transgression grid and all of that. So I created this holy God prayer of life to also naturally always be invoked before any sort of activity of the work I would be doing, because you have to understand, when you accelerate your frequencies and yet you haven't fully mastered them yet, like always, like it's like opening a new stage or opening a new layer to who you are, and yet it's still not fully mastered or skillfully owned, right? We talked about ownership as well. It means you're still vulnerable. You might still have vulnerable points in the way this becomes automatic, like inherent process within you. So you would have to invoke the prayer that you're protected in the meantime, because each new layer will open up, right? In case not using it correctly, anything can be hijacked, which means we always need to invoke extra protection, because always a new opening makes us susceptible to more universal forces of light that are not just good, but they're also evil intended, as we know. So this is a prayer. You can invoke it. You can even write your own before any sorts of more advanced work. And I'm going to read it now, and then we're going to do the actual practice. Beloved God I am, immaculate source of life that is Holy Spirit, deliver me from all of this evil and guide me on my path of illuminating the dark and all that transgresses against life. Offer me 24-hour protection of the highest platinum light to shield my golden Christ field as I do my holy work. Hold me in the space of love. Guard my physical body so that I may move through the dark with grace, as you sustain me with divine intelligence as pure life force, to give me strength, vitality, and courage in facing all of these trials. As I devote myself to you and my sacred oath, show me the way and always bring me back to the truth of illumined light and give me life eternal and everlasting. I walk as you, within you, beloved God, I am. I am Aurea. I am Aurea. I am Aurea. Holy life, beloved God, I am. Adonai Elohim. So be it, and so it is. Amen. Okay, so here's the prayer. And another important thing to say here is that there's many things people already work with as they're doing their sort of protection work or protective work, such as listening to these frequencies I've talked about. There is a very specific channel I mentioned also on my YouTube page called Altona 777 that I really like the frequencies from or of. You can use these frequencies as you're accelerating on this path of continuously opening up these new sheets or layers of energy mastery, right? And through sovereign self-governance. And as you're still building this new configuration, right, it's not like fully sustained, because you have to always, when you open up to a new level of configuration and understanding what it means, at that stage, you're going to need to pour enough liquid light quotient to sustain it so that it's properly sealed in and fully locked in your field, in your light field, which means it sometimes takes a while. And source would always, by inner God guidance, would give you the kind of understanding when something is locked in, it's fully, it has really sunk in, has become a part of your own inner templating organically. Then you would, just do a next level of work or a next level of layer opening. So I want to recommend here, because there's these few main stages similar to the spiral work, right? Maybe you can just, if it's too much for you at once, try to just do stage 1 first, and then next time add stage 2. Just really go slow, because there's no way to run with this process, because it's not about doing it once and then it's that. It's not an activation. It's a continuous practice of devotion, because the spiral of life is ongoing and it's constant. Just like even with this work and us ascending into the next level, then we continue to ascend. That's what this essence of life is like. So as you continue to build your configuration, which means the positioning of all these main principles of life, that is ascension or ascended life, you may just continue adding new things and continuously being open, instead of thinking, well, that's that, I've done it. We will work with a source of platinum light, because you have to know the platinum light is almost like impenetrable for any sorts of very low frequency, hijacked, distorted, manipulative tactics, right, that the dark uses, and the frequency work they do. It will, as you see through our practice, it will create a natural magnetic field, because you have to understand these frequencies that sustain the dome are electric. So naturally, I've been talking about this for years, we have to create an accelerated ratio of natural magnetic tendencies. So we're increasing the magnetic nature of life by stepping into divine union, which is our masculine feminine polarities of life, or principles of life, that is the feminine principle of Christ and the masculine principle of Christ in union, which is the inner Christ child, which means our entire body has become a part of this union, has been absorbed within this light of the unified polarity that is the Christ in divine trinity of life. So this means basically that naturally, with this different stages that you're going to be implementing, your natural tendency of ascending, and therefore naturally being protected, because the more we ascend, this builds a natural protection around, within and around our body. So working with these different things is very important. So also, besides the practice, besides the work, use frequencies to also help you to aid you in your path. Just listen to frequencies that are helping you with these lower hooks, spells, enchantments, dark vortices, wormholes, mini portals, electric, archonic parasites, all of these things. Continue working with that, because we are in this world, this does exist. And just like we are continuously breathing. That's continuously in the making and being created. So that's why I said these practices have to be not just, okay, done once. It's not an activation. It's a devotion, and it has to be built in with consistency. Because you will also, as yourself, start to receive more divine intelligence, which will give you natural insights and guidance as you're going to move through this expanding propulsion of life. So working with these frequencies, also with your own sound intelligence. We already did the main sounds through the channels, or the main 3 portals of life and life giving. Also with the plasmic light, to, like you can always invoke God's intelligence to send you plasmic, as we did in the prayer, platinum light shield. We're also going to use it in the technique directly, but this is you working with it in propulsion. But you can also always invoke it, that as you're growing and like accelerating and opening up new layers and aspects to who you are, and the energy work mastery you will do, continuously work with that as well. So frequencies, our own sound, tonal, voicing, chanting. Try to do as high-pitched tones as you can. And then you can bring it lower down when you're pulling into the womb of life and in your prismatic nature of illumined life at the seed of life template. You can also do the very low frequencies of Om, 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 and imagine that you're pulling these higher configurations, just like pulling it and anchoring it down within your body. Okay. We're also going to be working with the pulsar. Those of you who don't know nothing about pulsar, you have to go way back when I did this whole transmission about the galactic pulsar of light. Okay, so I don't know when exactly, but you have to go and browse through. Okay, so we're going to begin with the work. I will first show you the drawing, just briefly to like take it in. You can also make a quick snapshot if you want. I know it's not really pretty, but that's the best I can do and what I have. So I'm going to try to put it as straight as I can. If you want to do a print screen, okay, something like that. We're going to work at the end with this. You can just like pause the video, just take it in quickly, but I'm going to be showing you also as we move through the stages a little bit, and then explain the entire process, go through it at the end, okay? So yeah, this is the drawing. We're going to move through it. As I said, there are 3 main stages of this work. First, before we begin, let me see if there's something else I've been writing down. Yeah, about the pulsar. I'm going to get there when we get there, okay? So the idea behind the pulsar work is, because pulsar literally means particle acceleration, and dispensation and discharge. But in this whole work here, the main work we're going to be doing, the building this force field and shield and using the pulsar to accelerate it, is that we will increase these particles. So it means that when you're pulling from, when you're literally absorbing and dissolving that which is this literally here, this dot, 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 right? These dotted lines represent the dome, or the false grid, or the synthetic bubble, right? That's all around, and we're needing to break through it, right? We're needing to emanate through it. So you're going to see through the exercise how this is done. But you have just to be aware that the pulsar is used to accelerate the particles and then discharge them, right? And in this process, the particles of these density will be absorbed into the pulsar, and through the Merkaba lifted up and dissolved and released here. We're going to move that stage into it, but then the new particles will then also be given and received. So basically there's an exchange taking place at the pulsar level, which means particles are going out and a new lumen light intelligence is coming through new particles being dispensated through the divine intelligence. Okay, so yeah, that's one thing I needed to share. If you don't know what pulsar is, you have to go back and watch that video, because it's all out there and it's all here on Patreon. For those of you at the advanced level, you can watch all the videos at that level. So moving and starting at the very beginning, stage 1. Stage 1, as you can see in this drawing, has to do with the spiral. You have here 2 main spirals, because as we've done the work, right, there's 3 spiral levels we've done. The inner cultivated source light spiral, the feminine spiral, which is the source spiral descending and we're absorbing it, and the third aspect, which is their union. We're going to use that, so it's a continuation of the spiral work. Okay, so in the phase 1, what we're going to do, we're going to create the main configuration by using the Ascension pillar of light and the 2 created spirals, right? So I'm just going to go through the stages, and you're going to have to create your own practice of sitting within this field. So if you are just beginning, try for a while to just sit and feel the Ascension pillar, because for this advanced work, it really has to be firm. So maybe you would just begin by sitting for a while and really feeling how when you ask the divine, you might do many prayers saying, beloved God, I am, would you please bring me the intelligence of illumined light to help build the configuration of my ascension pillar or ascension column of light, and help me strengthen it and master its essence and configuration that I'm holding within my lumen body template. Okay, so just spend some time just focusing on the pillar first, because it really has to be strong and firm, right? We have the pillar here. Then you would do the two main spiral work and their union. So if you're just beginning, you can do the quicker version of the spiral work. So again, right, it's the inner spiral we've created. I won't repeat the process because it's all in those videos, right? It's the creation of the spiral here in the root portal, and just, you know, pulling that spiral with the out breath up, 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 and at the same time, simultaneously envision the second spiral, which is well, you can say the first one being source and that one being yours, or this one is sorry, this one is first, sorry, I said I'm gonna go with these. So this one coming cosmically in within our field, right, because you can see here, is spiral number 1, and this one is spiral number 2, the one that's inwardly created. So the two created spirals, the inner source spiral and the cosmic spiral, are meeting at the center, which is the Christ seed here in the middle of the heart, where the union is held. And for a while, just feel the configuration of these two spirals when you create them. One is descending directly from source, just try to feel it, and one is being pulled out of your own body. And feel how now, because you've already done the main 3 spiral work practices, try to feel like them happening simultaneously. So after a while, this might get a bit tricky. I mean, after a while, what feels tricky will be easier for you to flow within. And just try to feel that with your in-breath, you're taking in both, and with the out-breath, try to merge them within your heart. And again, and repeat that a few times until you feel this interconnected flow. You can also use the infinity symbol again to connect the flow of both the inner and outside cosmic spiral. They're basically both one, but because we exist in the body, that's how we perceive them, right? As this cosmically coming in and the mini inner spiral going out and basically expanding and meeting the bigger spiral of life. And basically they're meeting in the seed of life as the Christ seed here in the heart. And just feel now how, again, which we did in the second spiral work, how they create around you this bubble of illumined light all around. The golden light moves all around your field. Try to, with your out breath, try to expand it. Like when you're expanding your auric field further and further out until you feel like you're completely encased in this bubble of liquid golden light all around you, within and without. This light then, because it's so naturally magnetic, it will touch the fringes. I know this is very poorly drawn because this leaf piece of paper is not a square, right? It's like this. So it's a little, but just imagine it as a fully rounded toroidal field or a toroid, right? And just try to feel your toroid, which is naturally create a magnetic field all around you, and just feel how you've created the main toroid and how the seal of life that this toroid represents is now firmly felt and anchored within you. That's the first stage. Phase 2 will be the shielding work. So in the phase 1, we had creating the main configuration, right? Pillar, ascension pillar, the spiral work, and they're meeting their union, and the toroid. These are main principles, seals of life we're working with. Phase 2 will be the actual shielding work, which we will build here. So at the center stage here, when these two spirals meet, their union creates it creates momentum. Try to feel into the momentum, and this is you now as a conscious creator doing this. So imagine how all around you, there's like, imagine a disc, right? Imagine it like a flat disc first. I know it's not drawn perfectly. It's just like a flat disc. I did this so you can see it like it's a flat disc that, you know, like all around you. And this platinum force shield or force field is emanating through the dome frequency through your breath work. So for a while, just focus on feeling this disc starting to spin and being pulled out. You're like with your in-breath, envision it spinning, and then with the out-breath, extend it out until you feel it reaches the levels of being completely encased within your column of ascension or ascension pillar, okay? Feel it like encased and feel it spinning, right? Now, it's spinning because the spiral, right, of cosmic Christ intelligence is doing that acceleration, and with your breath, you're helping for that field to be created within your body. Whereas to asking for the platinum light of protection feels like it's coming outside of you, you're literally generating this from within your body field, okay? So now this field has to emanate through the dome frequency. This is this, right? It's pushing, it's starting to push out, starting to push out. And feel like at this point when you're breathing, right? Take it in and feel like with the out breath, imagine there's like a veil or a barrier around you. Like literally move into feeling of that veil. You don't have to give it a name. You can even invoke in your energy work, and you might say, I'm now moving with my platinum light shield or platinum force field. I'm moving beyond all that acts as a veil, a barrier of synthetic, inorganic, artificial life intelligence. And due to the nature of the golden spiral or the spiral of the cosmic Christ, life moves beyond anything that it's inorganic. Organic life is beyond anything because it's of God. And feel how when you're breathing it in, it's spinning, and with the out breath, that acceleration of the spin is pushing out through this envisioned, you can see like a gray zone veil or something like that, and you're pushing through with the out breath. Okay, this is for a while, stay within the breath work and do this. And then the second part of this shielding work begins with the Merkaba work. So here we will work at 2 Merkabas, Merkaba 1 and then Merkaba 2. I made them in different colors so you can better envision them, right? This will now begin to move the essence of illumined light through the body, right? This is what the spiral frequency does when you're using the Merkaba, right? Which is the light body intelligence. It moves this liquid light, it moves it through the body, moves the intelligence of the light, right? So it's going to be moving the Merkaba through all the 3 main body portals. So here you can see, imagine again, there's a prism of life, the seed of life here at the very bottom. We've already did this work in the spiral videos. So imagine how the Merkaba begins to rotate here again. Just feel the Merkaba spinning. And then with after a while of focusing on its spin, when you feel the momentum has been gained, do the in-breath, feel it spin, and with the out-breath, pull it in. Pull it in the first portal, which is the root portal. Then stay here a while, right? And then feel when you're ready, gaining momentum again, feel the spin of the Merkaba, pull it with the out breath again into the heart portal, the heart center, which is the Christ. Here's the Elohim, the Christ, and then we have the booty, the last level. And again, here the same, spin it and pull it further up all the way until this Merkaba is pushed out of the body, right? And it's being done through the spiral, right? The Merkaba, again, imagine it pulls like this golden spiral thread, and as it pushing it upward, right, it meets the second Merkaba, which is the one always representing your luminous light body intelligence that always is kind of like what I would say hovering above your body. And then feel how this inner created Merkaba expanding itself from the prism or the seed of illumined light, right, which is your planetary body field, connecting into the planetary illumined seed of life on this planet we call the Earth, Gaia. Okay, so as you're moved up and up, and then out of your body, merge the 2 Merkabas. That's stage 2. It's the Merkaba work. So we have the platinum shield work and the Merkaba work. Phase 2, stage 2, is called the dispensation work. Here we will talk about the particle discharge. In this stage, this is the most important stage because without this stage, we've actually just haven't done the transfiguration work. So alchemically speaking, right, these 3 main stages would represent the buildup of the configuration, then the shielding work is protective tools we're going to be using, and the third stage is transformation, transmutation, and transfiguration work all in one. So here, right, when the Merkaba was pushed out of the body and met the Merkaba number 2, met our light body intelligence, here we're going to use the pulsar. Pulsar is like a naturally self-evolving, rotating around your very core essence. It's your own light field that you learn to generate through simply by just giving it intention, right? And you might even say, I intentionally invoke and activate the pulsar of light organic intelligence within and around my body. So here, right, when this occurs, because the pulsar is an intelligence originating of the light body intelligence anyway, right, you then invoke it and feel how it starts to descend in all the three main portals, the crown, the heart, and the root. And just feel how all of your main three portals are beginning to pulsate. So of course you would feel the pulsar like they're unified in this cosmic Christ seed of life here. You can just imagine pulsar, right, as I've been writing it here, being anchored here. It's like a constant particle acceleration and discharge. That's what it is through this vortex spin. It's spinning and accelerating the frequency within your field. So when these two, like I said, Merkabas meet, here you give the intention. I intentionally invoke and activate the you might say cosmic or galactic pulsar of light illumined intelligence of organic life to, you know, bring the proper dispensation of liquid light intelligence into my body, within and around my field. So just pull it and visualize how this pulsar, when you begin, you will begin to spin, right? You will begin to rotate. And this is occurring, just visualize within your entire ascension column and pillar. Imagine that you are pulsating. Of course, you will feel it here like all-encompassing unified pulsar, but all of the three main centers of life and life-giving are pulsating now. So through all the three main portals, you're spinning, and then this spinning here then is pulled once again. You're pulling it through your third eye and pulling it up into your crown. And this spinning above the body, right, this begins to purge, eventually the spinning of all the three main portals. When you do the breath work, right, when you're breathing and just spinning, you'll feel how it's being pulled up, up, up. This is just a natural intelligence. This is what the pulsar does. And it will start to pull this spinning right through the spiral out of your body. It will exit the body and it will move again into the upper Merkaba, into your light body intelligence. Here all these particles, right, of everything you've absorbed these denser particles. You've taken them in, and through the pulsar you've been dispensating, you've been pulling them and dispensating in here. Like you deposit them in your light body intelligence. And here in your light body intelligence, Merkaba will receive these particles. They will take them in all. It will gather them through the unified spiral, right? Because you're still in the unified spiral intelligence. And then it will take them with your conscious intention. The spiral, the Merkaba through the spiral will pull them up all the way and through and drop them into the prism of life here, which we said it's in the central sun position. That's basically stage 3. So imagine, right, this Merkaba that received within the seed of life with your own, connecting to and feeling this veil and doing the pulsar work here first. The pulsar has been gathering these particles. It's like all that keeps you, all that unlocks you into a prison. It's not a natural prism of life. You're gathering, and that intelligence of the Merkaba will gather them and will pull them up again until they exit the body. So you're literally releasing them. And when this upper Merkaba receives them, this Merkaba will start to, it's like decipher the information. That's how me and my team work. They will hear in my light body intelligence, when I gather the information, when I gather the distortions, the pain, the electric signals, the distorted frequencies, all these energy weapons, all these things, then the Merkaba will decipher them. And this is when I say that the aspect that I call my family light body organic intelligence will decipher them, and they will take them into what we call the source of life. The source through the prism of life of illumined intelligence. And here you can imagine this giant, again, intelligence of which is life as prismatic life, where life is sustained and exits out as perfect divine creation. So these are the three main stages, but it's not over, because the last stage is actually the most important. This last extra additional stage is called the receiving or illumination phase or stage. So here, at the aspect of this prism of life, or the inner sun, central sun intelligence of illumined life, here a new Merkaba will be created. I drew it actually as a bigger one. The orange is like illumined, yeah. So here a new Merkaba is created in this grand central sun, and it's almost like God now giving you, it's like, you know, when we pray to God and all these things, and in most cases when our intelligence is not illumined, and these protocols and principles that I know through my family of light, because we are these great tantrika beings, ancient beings that understand these principles that are universal principles of life, but we have to use them. They're not just there and they're self-obvious. We have to learn how to use them. So basically, it's like when we pray to God, and basically this is the work you do. And this is the most advanced work, because you become like God. It's like you communicating from this aspect, the seed of life, with the prism of life here, this intelligence. And it's like a constant communication, right? That's, we're naturally learning to self-sustain and regulate and master of that cultivation of that constant communication. So here in this God consciousness that is contained within the grand central sun of the highest illumined light intelligence and immaculate life design, this Merkaba is then created. And it has exactly the impulses that you need for your process: transformation, transmutation, and transfiguration, which is literally physical ascension, okay? So this immaculate life design received through this Merkaba, the highest intelligence, is now through the cosmic Christ source spiral, right? Again, it's being poured down through the cosmic Christ source spiral. It's poured down, and our inner spiral, right, which we cultivate from within, then pulls it into our body field. So again, both two spirals are being used simultaneously. Just feel how both spirals, like one is sending it down, descending, the other one pulls it. You have to pull it down. It's like you're doing it yourself. You're pulling it down. And then it begins to join, right? This Merkaba joins the upper Merkaba, your own illumined light body intelligence. And it pours, it deposits all this that's God intended new for you. It's like what's evolving you, right? Life that's constantly sustaining. This is what we said, the giver of life. This is you giving yourself a new impulse of life. You're not just recycling something old, but you're going to receive a new divine intelligence. That's the blessing. That's the alchemy and the alchemical work that most people have no idea about. But I'm here to teach these principles because they're very important for what we know as organic ascension. So here, when it joins with the upper Merkaba, this one, right, when you're pulling it down, then it begins to pulsate. And it creates, like, again, a mini vortex, a very high accelerated frequency, which then spins. Again, it begins to spin and creates a liquid light particle discharge that we then begin to receive. Again, it's like these particles, right, that you see here that I've drawn in orange. They're beginning to be discharged again with the spin within the vortex of this highest Merkaba field merging, and it's like being deposited within our own light body intelligence. Yeah, so through this discharge, then we begin to receive, pulling it again gradually into the body, through all the three main portals. By descending this spinning Merkaba again through the spiral, envision how the spiral pulls it down, through our entire ascension pillar of light, and through the cosmic Christ spiral, and then drop and anchor it all the way down to meet this Merkaba, and even then way, way below into the crystalline chamber. We've talked about this in the second meditation. Into the crystalline chamber of the seed of illumined life, again, here. And then we simply take some time to ground and anchor our body within this new light frequency, feeling the increase in our own illumined light quotient and intelligence. And here, really take some time to process this and be easy on yourself, because this meditation can sometimes be intense. This one last thing I wish to add here is when you will be doing the shielding work and when you will start reaching this veil and you're going to start like pushing through, it's not like you're needing to effort, you know, like, oh, I need to push through. Imagine how this intelligence that you've created through the spiral work and the pulsar of light intelligence, it's like naturally pushing through. You're like exuding the particles of light that are being discharged, and this is all taking place very organically. But when this happens, right, imagine it's like with anything else, when you reach a barrier, you will have maybe feelings of tension or pressure. I get it in the plexus. I start to feel the contractions in my belly. This is when I always know, oh, I'm doing with another or dealing with another layer of what needs to be penetrated through illumined light. And so don't get scared if you have any contractions or feeling tension. Also tension and pressure headaches, these are very normal for me in my work. It's the pain is constant, you know, when the work is being performed. So basically that's the work. I'm going to show you the image once again. In case you just want to see and feel into it. I would really advise you to go through the stages separately. Like, you know, that you would say first 3 days or maybe first week, you know, I'm just going to focus on the phase 1 because it's really important. This is the advanced level. And until you do that, always begin your work with the prayer, maybe the prayer I've shared with you, or pray your own prayer that resonates with you, but it's kind of similar in nature of what you're actually invoking and calling for through the intelligence of God. Then you would focus, you would say, okay, you know, don't limit yourself with days, but say until I feel it's ready and complete, I will be focusing on the phase or stage 1. And then when you're ready, you say, I'm going to invoke the stage 2. Doesn't mean you begin, you always have to start from the beginning. You know what I mean? Because it has to start at the source. You don't just like, okay, now I'm going to start with the shield work when you haven't done the spirals anyway. Always start at the beginning, but continuously adding, you know, like the next week or when you feel called or ready, do the step or stage 2 and then continue. The last stage is most advanced, so maybe you would need some time to really feel and feel how the pulsar feels, because a lot of people have not yet been initiated into the pulsar. Here, the advice I can give you, it's like it doesn't just happen automatically. I'm going to tell you, for me, it's very automatic because I'm the one who came here to actually share this intelligence that is the pulsar. But I also need to create enough life force cultivation, you know, with the pushing through the breath from my womb of life. And then I'm gonna start to spin organically. I'm just gonna start to spin at a certain point. This is when I know, oh, I've gathered enough light intelligence, and then the work begins. And that's when I start receiving visions or instructions, and that's basically how I do the work. But I'm not new to this. But those of you who are, I would really advise you to go step by step. Watch the Galactic Pulsar of Light video. I don't know whether it was 2 years ago, something like that, I believe, about 2 years ago, when I first introduced the pulsar. That was just before my transgression period began, you know, the detour. It was a very difficult stage, but it actually helped me to accelerate my knowledge of this work through the human body. Basically, it deepened my understanding, deepened my mastery of the dark within this physical realm. And as difficult as it was, the difficulties I learned to use and turn them into advantages for me, my entire Lumen Light family and team, and all of us as Ascending family. So watch that, maybe do an activation or two. Also, there was a drawing I did. Watch the drawing of the pulsar. I think I even explained it in the video and I used the drawing, but also, you know, you can watch that spirit drawing, which showed the pulsar and its dynamic before you go on to feeling, because when you're going through the stages, you're first going to have to feel how the pulsar even feels. How the pulsar feels for me, like first it starts with the spin and rotation, and usually then it starts to accelerate. At a certain point, as I explained it in that video, it rotates so fast, it's almost like so fast, and then the release happens, and it's like then I start to pulsate like this, like wider spiraling circles, and then at a certain point I would stop. And when it like stops, I know that stage is complete, and then I can move on to the next stage. So your body is an indication of what you're actually energetically doing. If there's nothing happening in your body, it's just a mental process. So that's what I'm saying to you. Go stage through stage. But the galactic pulsar work really has to be mastered understood and applied here consciously. So anyway, this is the work. I hope you've enjoyed it. And as I've explained, next month, which is also next year, I hope we will do some more light body intelligence work, because I think this is something I wanted to bring those 2 years back, and then I couldn't because of the transgression. But as I was moving through the transgression, they were showing me these principles of how to access the light body intelligence, how to even know specific energy points through which the intelligence of the light body moves through into our, like, pours into our physicality. All these things I still want to be teaching. I don't know when. Life is so unpredictable for me, because there's sometimes mission stages that have to be first, and then I don't know where they will take me and when the work will be inwardly complete, because it's so hard and arduous, this work. And then, it's my time to teach whenever we've moved through a certain stage, and that's basically when I can teach, and not a minute or a second sooner. So thank you for being patient with me. And now it's your time to be patient with yourself when you do the work. I really hope you will enjoy it, though. I mean, for me, it's just amazing. It's very natural for me. But I'm also hoping that there would be a few selected individuals as devotees of this work, of the spiral and the pulsar work, because this is still new and no one on our planet does it this way. And I hope this will change in the following months, years, decades to come. I don't know. I'm not as far ahead yet. But even when it's my time to leave this planet, I hope this will be a legacy and continuation for those incoming light beings, who will, basically teach the Ascension principles to those souls who actually want to ascend for the first time and move into a new experience completely. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I wish you a happy holiday time. I hope you will take some time to enjoy, but also to learn, to grow in your own cultivation process, and to experience the new, more luminous aspects coming through. All of you, all of God. So as always, with so much love, wisdom, and power, I'll greet you and leave you for now, and I'll see you next time in the next advanced update. Thank you.